Okay. So thanks, Jackie, for talking to me. This is Jackie Segers. She's a reflexologist and animal therapist and Reiki master. And Jackie,
Yeah.
tell me how did you get into reflexology?
So I was living in New York at the time, and I just had I had done my level 1 and 2 Reiki, so I was kind of starting to get interested in holistic therapies, and I just saw a little. It was actually a community education, one of those adult community education workshops, and I thought, oh, that looks interesting, and so that's basically how I got into it, which is I think maybe a lot of people start off doing little courses like that, and then you become more interested in wanting to develop that as a career. And so I looked into possibly doing training with Laura Norman, where she's based in New York, and then plans kind of changed, and my partner at the time, we had an opportunity to go to LA, and so I looked into reflexology schools there, and I called up the American Academy of Reflexology, and I got this guy on the phone, who I thought was like the sort of receptionist or whatever, and it turned out to be the director of the school.
Okay.
And so I ended up like having a 45-minute chat over the phone with Bill, and it was like, this is basically who I want to train with. He was just so passionate and enthusiastic. So yeah, so I ended up doing certification with him, and Bill's approach was very different. He was probably the first reflexologist to start combining feet, ears, and hands. So hands and feet were around for a long time, but no one was really doing auricular reflexology. And he actually worked quite closely with Terry Olson, who specialized in auricular medicine, and then and the other great thing was that Bill was very much method based, research based. He was the first reflexologist to be published in a medical journal on a PMS study. So he sort of also had a very clinical way of approaching reflexology as well. And so did my training with him, came back to New Zealand, ended up acquiring a couple of kittens when I came back, a good substitute for not having children. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if anyone's actually doing reflexology for animals. And so I started sort of, the early days of the internet, having a look around. No one seemed to be sort of doing anything. So I researched a lot of sort of holistic therapies books for animals, and there were references to reflexology, but no one was actually doing anything. So I thought, right, well, someone has to do something, but like you with this documentary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so ended up just kind of approaching a few publishers, and David Bateman were very keen to explore, but they said, look, can you, it is very niche, so if you can combine it with make it into more of a holistic therapies book. So that was like 2007.
Okay.
And then I think 2010 I came to Wellington and saw and did that workshop with you.
Yep, I remember that in Wellington.
And who else was it with?
With Holly McKay. Yeah.
Holly McKay. Yeah.
Sadly she's passed away now.
Oh. I'm
Yeah,
sorry
she
to
had
hear
breast
that.
cancer and it got the better
Oh,
of her. So yeah,
oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah.
Such a
But
sweet lady, and very, very passionate about animals, and
yeah,
yeah, she was kind of the instigator for that for
yeah,
that workshop.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I seem to remember at the time you managed to hit the headlines in the Dominion Post or something, didn't you? You had a like a front page. Was it front page or
It
insert?
was on the, I think it was the front page of the
It
whatever
was.
the lifestyle kind of section of the
Yeah,
paper.
yeah. You had a huge article write up. How did you manage to get that?
Mainly through Bateman. Bateman sort of organized a bit of the marketing and
Oh, okay.
publicity for the book. So
Yeah,
yeah. And then the dog book took a while to kind of get done, and then I just sort of had um paid the deposit for the printing costs, and then the COVID hit and lockdowns hit,
yeah,
and it was sort of like, God, I'm just gonna get it done.
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
gonna get it out there.
Good on you.
Everyone was sort of like, oh, it's gonna be a recession, blah blah blah. It was like, you know what?
Yeah,
I
doesn't
just want to get
matter.
it out
Yeah.
there.
Oh no, it's great to see that you've actually completed that dog book because I remember when you did that workshop, you were talking about doing a dog one,
Yeah,
but it was very much it was an idea, I think, or a concept at that stage. Yeah.
absolutely. And it was kind of good to actually leave it that far apart because it gave me a chance to really test the techniques out and test it on animals and get feedback from other people, and
Yeah.
so and kind of update the maps a little bit in book as well. So I'm really happy
Yeah.
with the end result.
Oh, that's great. And do you
Mm.
is it quite active out there in the market? People accept animal reflexology, you think?
I think all holistic therapies for animals are definitely becoming more accepted.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, there are sort of more holistic vets on the market as well now. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think things are slowly changing.
It's good to hear. And Jackie, you were a tutor at Well Park, is that right? For
Yeah,
yeah. So how many years ago was that? When did that
that
start?
was I had come back to New Zealand in 2001, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
2001. And I think I started sort of doing some part-time tutoring in 2002, I think. I was there for about 12 years. I got introduced to one of the tutors there, uh and Christy, she was an acupuncturist, and she was actually doing the acupressure module at the school. And she said, oh, we don't really have anyone teaching reflexology. We've got a guy that does Tai Chi, and he kind of
Yeah.
talks
Yeah.
about meridians. And
Sure.
so it was quite interesting. They didn't really have a reflexology program. And she said, would you mind coming in and at least doing some kind of practical techniques? And
Yeah.
so I was actually quite shocked because half the morning was kind of doing Tai Chi.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Rather than sort of talking about reflexology. And so I was kind of brought in to do and of course I hadn't had my certification very long, but I was obviously very, my knowledge was, and my skills were very fresh at that time.
Yeah.
So, and then eventually that guy kind of gave up and said, well, actually you should kind of take over the program. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so I developed the program at Well Park and made it an actual reflexology program
Yeah. And
in line with all the NZQA stuff.
oh, okay. So you wrote an NZQA one. Did you work in with the was it an NZIR or NZRA at that time? Were they there were two organisations, weren't there? And then they
For
combined.
reflexology
Yes,
or
yeah. Were you
for,
involved
yeah,
with them?
no, well, I don't think
Okay.
so.
Yeah. So you did your own
Um,
thing. And did you have any dealings with Dwight Byers? Or was that because you were from the States?
um he was more the Ingham. He was more the
Okay.
Ingham school, but when the cat book came out, I actually sent a copy to him.
Yes, yeah.
Because he was based in Florida, and
yeah.
And it was actually his personal assistant that kind of got back to me and said, "Oh, I love your book, and I'm actually doing it on my cats now."
Okay. Yeah. Oh,
But
right.
I didn't actually get to talk with him, but I did send a copy.
Okay. So that's so did you have any connections with oh, what's the other lady? Diane Kilby? Is it Vermont Kilby? Because she set up some reflexology via Eunice Ingham, or Dwight Byers.
In
So
New
that,
Zealand, or
yeah, so I'm not sure if that was earlier than you, but it must have been a similar time. So I was curious because I don't, I've only sort of followed that pathway, and it's really good to know the different streams of way and reflexology has been introduced into New Zealand, not just from the Ingham method. And it's really interesting to see, just where these roots have come from.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And did you teach many
absolutely.
students?
Sorry?
Did you teach many students?
Yeah. And it's it was really part of the massage or naturopathy, all the naturopathic students and some of the yoga students did the course as well.
Right.
And I remember Phil, who was the head of naturopathy, was very much, all my students have to do reflexology. It's just should be a fundamental part of the program. And yeah, it's interesting. I still run into students sort of years later who said, "Oh, that was actually one of the best programs, and you really introduced me to how wonderful reflexology is." And I still use that knowledge and those techniques in my practice. And
Oh, that's great. And did you what sort of qualification did you give people with the reflexology? Was it just like a certificate or participation, or?
Well, it was more of a module for for completion for the certification or the diploma program. Yeah.
And that was the whole entire naturopathy, was it?
Yeah, so that was naturopathy, and that was the massage program as well. Yeah.
Now they've divided them all up into separate categories now, haven't they? They've got module, they have a diploma of naturopathy, just the medical side. Well, not medical, the herbal side, I think.
The herbal side of it.
Yeah. Did you require your students to do anatomy and physiology?
Yeah, that was part of their requirements for their degree. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
But that was separate.
Yeah. Okay. And did you use tables or chairs? I'm just trying to get
tables. Yeah, we had massage tables. Yep.
Yeah, they're massage tables. That seemed to be how, but and then chairs were introduced, weren't they? It was a bit easier.
Yeah. I never kind of I never kind of used chairs, really. It was always tables when I first started out, like with my training and with my time at Well Park. Yeah.
And when you did your training with Bill Flocko, how long ago was that? What year was that?
Oh,
you
that
remember?
was that was like 2000. So that was 200 hours.
Yeah.
And then you had to do 75 hours of clinicals, of practicals as well.
That was case studies.
Yeah, case studies. I remember doing 30 hours on hands.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Just hands.
Oh, and
which was quite amazing.
Yeah. Did you have the same people you used each time?
Yeah, you could use the same people. Yeah.
Wow, that's quite a few hours of hands. You must have.
That was quite a few hours of hands, but it was 30 on feet and 30 on hands and 15 on ears, just ears. But it was like 30-minute ear sessions.
Oh, right. Yeah. And so you actively still practice now?
Yeah, I do. Yep. I do. I do private clients. I do a lot of corporate work. I'm finding I'm finding here in Auckland, everyone is just so busy that actually being able to take time out. So, workplaces now, it's sort of a requirement to look after the health and safety of their staff. So they're all very much, anything they can kind of add in. And
Oh, that's good.
So that's good. Yep. So clinicals, but teaching a lot, Reiki, reflexology, the animal side of things as well.
And are you getting a lot of demand for teaching your animal reflexology, like vets or the SPCA?
Well, with COVID, I haven't sort of traveled.
Yeah,
I haven't traveled in a while, and I'm kind of I'm a little bit resistant to Zoom trainings.
Yeah. I can see, because it's not the same, is it? It's to hands-on. Yeah.
So I don't know. I like to be there in the rooms to make sure people are, I can see what they're doing. I think over Zoom it's very difficult to see what people are actually doing. And also just the, what it's like, Fiona, the collective energy of the group.
Yes,
have a group of people in the same space.
Yeah. Oh wow. No, that's quite fascinating. Yeah, it's just interesting to see, different perspectives of how people have, got into reflexology and how they've promoted it, and just their pathways really. And so you've never been affiliated with any organization, have you? You've always just done your own thing, is that right?
I was with Reflexology New Zealand for a while.
Right.
Yeah. And then I just kind of just kind of ended up doing my own thing.
Fair enough. Yeah. Oh, it's really interesting. But the training that you went through must have been, how did you find that it was accepted in New Zealand when you moved from the States to New Zealand? Like reflexology, how was it? How did people see it back then?
Yeah, I don't think it was as well known.
Yeah.
I think definitely with more immigration from people coming from countries who've moved here, that where reflexology is more popular, like UK and South Africa, for example. So I think that's helped to kind of make it more popular. Like I noticed that when I first started, I was having some New Zealand clients, but actually a lot of my clients were UK, South African, because they had it back home.
Yeah. And did you learn the air seed technique as well with the auricular therapy with Bill Flocker? Or was that later on that was introduced?
Yeah, I kind of actually learned that from Anne Christie, who introduced me to Well Park. That's how I sort of got into she taught me about ear beads and working with them.
And who was Anne? Was she a
she was an acupuncturist. She had a practice in Auckland. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're just names. And were there any other reflexologists around when you started, that you had dealings with, or did you connect with?
Well, I remember teaching a course, an auricular course at because people weren't really doing auricular reflexology, so I thought, oh, okay,
yeah,
I can teach a few workshops. And I remember, I'm just trying to think of names myself actually. Margaret Fairbrother.
Yes, yeah. She was Auckland and then she's moved to Wellington. But did you teach in Auckland, did you?
Yes, Margaret. And I can't think, she worked at a primary school in Mount Albert.
Oh, Judith Davis, is it? Judith, yeah, I know who it is.
Judith. So I remember they were on that. I think they were both on that auricular workshop I taught. So there were a few people around.
Yeah. And did you ever teach anyone that went on to do teaching themselves, or do other things, or have their own practice, or?
I don't think so. Just trying to think. Yeah, not that I can think of.
Yeah. So I mean, if you had NZQA, I mean, how did the likes of the reflexology associations, how did they see the work that you were doing, like the courses you were teaching? Did anyone that done your courses, were they able to be a member of the organization? Was there not enough hours, or?
Not enough hours, I would say.
Okay.
And in fact, I mean, I had a lot of problems actually getting into the association because I didn't have enough A&P hours or something.
Right.
And I kind of had to send them a letter going, yeah, but I've got these qualifications, and I think they ended up sort of grandfathering me in or something.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, very fascinating. So what were you doing before reflexology?
I was wanting to be an anthropologist. I'd nearly finished a master's degree in social anthropology. So my plan was going to be an academic, and then life took me on an adventure to the States. So
yeah.
And my partner's mother did Reiki, so that's how I kind of got into sort of more holistic therapies. And yeah.
Because Bill Flocko came to New Zealand to run workshops too. And was this after or before you had your training?
I think he could have been to New Zealand before I did the course, actually. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have those dates there?
I mean, I was looking through some old documents in 1996, so it would have been before, probably.
Much before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Much before.
Yeah. But I mean, you're probably
his health was sort of starting to deteriorate.
Right. But
around the time I did it.
Oh, okay. You're probably quite privileged to learn with him, weren't you? That sort of way of learning with his knowledge and things.
Oh yeah, I feel very, very, very fortunate. And it's funny, I caught up with Lisa Chan with his assistant, who did a lot of the courses. She did part of the teaching. And I was very lucky to catch up with her in Adelaide a few years before COVID. I went and presented at a conference in Adelaide with the Australia Association.
Oh, right. That's good. Is that with your animal reflexology?
Yeah. So that's probably the last time I taught internationally and did a workshop internationally. That was just before COVID.
And that's, I guess, where you want to head now, isn't it? Get out there and promote yourself a bit more.
Yeah. But I've got other life stuff happening here as well. So it's just it's all about timing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I hope the storms haven't got the better of you anyway.
Yeah. Oh, there's been a little bit of slips on my property, but yeah.
You're all okay?
Yeah, all okay for the time being.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's nice that you've taken a bit of time to talk to me.
That's okay, Fiona. It's lovely to see you.
Yeah, it's just great to have that information, and I'll probably use just the odd bit of recording. I'm just going to sort of snap bits and pieces and put it in, and just put pictures of people. So
okay, cool.
That's sort of how I anticipate doing. I've created this character. It's like a footsie character. I'm going to try and animate it somehow, and it does the introduction, talking, just to make it a bit more interesting reading, because otherwise I mean, standard documentary, just listening to people talking can be a little bit boring.
So, yeah.
Totally. So I'm trying.
Let me know when you finish it.
Yeah, will do. And thanks for your time. And
that's okay.
You take care, and all the best to you. I hope your book takes off, and when my funds improve, I'll probably look at getting your dog one. I've got your cat one, but
yeah. Oh, you'll love the dog one. Dog one's definitely an improvement on the cat book, and it's all full color, and yeah,
Oh, okay.
you'll
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
You'll love it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, nice talking to you. You take care,
Good
Jackie.
talking to you,
Yeah.
Fiona.
See ya. Bye.
Okay. Have a good rest of your
Bye.
day.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.